Well, hello, it's Johnny. It's Wednesday and it's 1 p.m. That can only mean one thing. It's the Expert Stories live show. And what a show we have got for you today, because we've got none other than Joe Happiness Howarth, who you have to live up to that name, don't you, Joe? You have to be the happiest person
I have to be
on
the happiest
Facebook.
person in Happy Land. Yes, absolutely. All the time.
So, first of all, did somebody give you that name or did you come up with it?
Someone suggested that I put it in my social media name.
Yes.
Because what I do is obviously teach people how to be happy. So they just, from a branding point of view, which I'm sure you'll appreciate, Johnny, they thought it would be a useful thing to do.
Well, it's great. I love the brand because it's got your name in it, of course, and it says a bit about what you do, and it's intriguing. I guess we've got that in common, haven't we? People go, why does Johnny hate marketing? It looks like he is marketing. How can that be true? Is he lying? What does that mean? So, well, you've just said something actually, which kind of leads me to my first question, because what we do on this show is we talk to other people in the group, people on the same journey as us. In fact, the strapline for Expert Stories is the life journeys of people just like you. That's what it says. So hopefully people are going to feel that as we're talking, that, you know, we're just like them, they're just like us, and we're on the same journey together, aren't we? Okay, so here's the question that your name and your what you just said earlier actually has made me want to ask you, which is, can you teach someone to be happy? Isn't that an internal thing?
It is an internal thing, but a lot of people don't realize that they're capable of feeling happy. That's what I teach them, really. I see my job as opening their eyes to the possibilities, as mine were opened a very long time ago, to the possibility of happiness in every single day, regardless of what's happening. So that's what, so I can't I'm very careful with the language I use. I can't make someone else happy. That's impossible. But I can teach them how to make themselves happy.
Okay. All right. So let's unpack that a little bit more, because somebody once told me that being happy all the time is an impossible dream, because, you know, life naturally has its ups and downs. And, you know, if you are permanently happy, people are going to think you're a bit mad, aren't they?
Well, a lot of people do think I'm a bit mad, Johnny. That's fine. No, I agree completely. I mean, that's one of the misconceptions, use a long word, about me as a person, is that people presume that I am happy 100% of the time.
If you just run around smiling and giggling, you're like a village idiot at that point.
Yeah, totally. And that's what some people do think that's what I do, is just to walk around with a big fake smile on my face the entire time. And that's not what I do at all. And obviously I'm a human being, and I have 2 small children, and I'm married, and I run a business. So no, I don't walk around with a massive smile on my face, because all of those things, as with anything in life, bring their own set of challenges, don't they?
Of course they do.
But what I mean by happiness is to embrace whatever comes your way, is not to resist it, not to push against it, not to fight against it, but to embrace whatever comes your way, the negative and the positive.
Yes.
Work your way through the negative, take the learning from the negative, so that you can be more positive, content, whatever the word is that you want to use.
Yeah, I must say I like contentment quite well, because you can be content, can't you? You can have a contented life, which doesn't require to be deliriously happy all the time.
No, and again, I think it just boils down to definitions, doesn't it? As I have a very good friend who calls herself the joy scientist, and she focuses on, it's ACE, and she focuses on joy. So now for me, joy is something more transient, something more, God, what's the word I want? Temporary.
Ephemeral.
Yeah, it's more, you know, you reach a state of joy and then you come out of it. Happiness for me is about understanding that there's a process to life, and understanding what that process is, and how you can absolutely deal with anything that comes your way if you know how to. That's what I teach people to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that joy word actually. We with a couple of clients that I've had on the client attraction blueprint in the last year or so. One of them is a redundancy counsellor, and we built a program for her and with her called Joyful Redundancy.
Cool.
And that just came out in a discussion. It just seemed like the obvious way to frame it, because redundancy is often seen, isn't it, as a tragic event kind of thing. Being wrenched from your co-workers that you've loved and worked with every single day, and not having anywhere to go to work in the morning. When you get out of bed. So spinning that around and showing people how redundancy can be joyful. It's probably the same kind of thing that you're talking about, isn't it? Just making peace with whatever happens.
Absolutely. And that's we do, bless us, hold on to the tragedy of everything and the drama of it all. And there's a bit of fun in the drama, isn't there? It's a bit of excitement, it's a bit of difference. But we tend to hold on to it and do the woe is me thing. And actually, I was having this conversation yesterday with a client, actually, because going through a tough time, and I said to him, I see this as an opportunity. So with your redundancy lady, it's a huge opportunity. You can see it as a problem, or you can see it as an opportunity for you to grow and develop and try something new and face new challenges. And that's all in your control, which way you look at it. And people don't realize that. We're so used to seeing everything as a tragic drama that we don't realize that we can see it a different way if we want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all this stuff is a construct of our own thoughts anyway, isn't it? I mean, the universe doesn't impose happiness, contentment, or indeed, upset and misery. It's all inside our heads, isn't it? I've got another question for you then. So what led you to make money out of this? How did you discover how to make a business out of it?
I discovered how to make a business out of it entirely by accident, which I think most people do. I was a jobbing hypnotherapist. So
jobbing.
I was.
By the way, while we're just reflecting on the concept of a jobbing hypnotherapist, if you're watching this live, drop us a question, drop us a comment, or give us some love hearts. We feed off your energy. But I think appropriate questions for Jo today would be around, the concept of happiness. How do you find happiness? How do you turn tough times into happy times? All that kind of stuff that Jo can help us with live on this broadcast. So if anything pops into your head while you're watching it, type it in the comments below. We are here to engage with you guys. So I was
jobbing
hypno,
which obviously, and actually a couple of years in, one of my business contacts basically said to me, you do realize, don't you, that whatever someone's coming to you for, what you're helping them find at the end of the day is happiness. And it had never really occurred to me, but actually that was the start of my thought process of, that's what we're all after. Whatever the thing is that's missing or wrong or an issue, what you want in the solving of it or the having of it is to feel better, is to feel good, to feel happy. And that was really the starting point of my thought process of, happiness is it. It's absolutely the most important thing in life. It's what we're all after, bar none. Whatever the thing we call it, whether we call it relaxation or confidence or whatever the tag we put on, what we want is happiness.
No, that makes perfect sense. It's interesting that you distinguish between the outcome, which is what people want, and what people need, which is at the level of a tool, isn't it? So hypnotherapy might be something that they need, timeline therapy might be something they need, clip around the ear, kick up the arse might be something they need. But what they want is happiness, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
A very wise man once said, sell them what they want, and give them what they need.
That's it, totally.
And that's what you've identified in that split, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, once I had that conversation and I realised that that's actually what I was helping people do, and I say a jobbing hypnotherapist because obviously I was helping people quit smoking and manage their weight and deal with phobias, and so they were all the standard jobs of a hypnotherapist. So it never actually occurred to me that someone who wanted to give up smoking wanted to do it so they could be happier and healthier. That's why they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So
okay, no, that's exciting. So how do you find now positioning that? Because I'm aware of this concept that a lot of people seem to get stuck with as a coach or therapist, and that's what I call the vagueness virus. So kind of being happy is a very, very wide concept, isn't it? So how do you market that? How do you actually find people who maybe they don't realize that they want to be happy, but ultimately you've realized that? So how do you position that so you attract people to it?
So mostly I talk to people about the things they want to change. Right. Because a lot of people won't have thought, you don't normally sit on your sofa in the evening and think, oh, I'm not happy. Some people do, absolutely.
They do. Sometimes say that, don't they?
But
I had an ex-wife who used to say that a lot.
It's a whole other conversation, I think.
It certainly
is. But people will think, do you know what? Actually, if I could change this thing, then that might be better. And actually, this thing that I do time and time and time again always makes me feel rubbish. I wonder why that is. That's the kind of conversations that I have with people. I talk to them about, if you could change something in your life, what would you change? Because we know the things that annoy us and frustrate us, and that's where the growth is. That's where the change is.
Isn't it sometimes as easy, having identified that thing, just to stop doing it then?
Yes, but it's absolutely, but it's not always that easy just to stop doing it. It's born out of however many subconscious beliefs that you're carrying around with you, that you've been carrying around with you ad infinitum for however many years you've been carrying them around with you. So it's not always. The guy that I trained with actually always used to say to me, you can change like that.
Yes.
If you're at the point of readiness and you're willing to do it. But if you're not at the point of readiness, change can take donkeys. Yeah.
Are you one of those hypnos who does all this kind of miracle work, like stopping somebody smoking in one session kind of thing, and then never smoke again for the rest of their lives? Can you do that?
I don't do very much in one session, because what I'm after with people is lasting change. I'm not saying for a second that the people that do it in one session don't provide lasting change, but the way I was trained was to work with someone on a very deep level, to get to the root cause. It's like having weeds in your garden. That's the way I see it. And when you have a weed in your garden, you don't get a pair of scissors and cut it off there. You pull the thing out by the roots.
Yes.
That's what I do with people.
Good metaphor, I like that.
Yeah, and generally that takes longer than one quick session. Generally that's about, discovering what the beliefs are, why they're there, and then pulling them out by the root and actually getting rid of them.
Yeah. So from a client point of view, there's a chance they might lapse back if you do something too quickly and too superficial, I guess.
Superficially, yeah, definitely. And again, like I just said, you can absolutely change in the blink of an eye. It's utterly possible to have one hypnotherapy session and change totally, but you have to be at that point of readiness.
One of my therapist clients cured a teenage girl of a lifelong lily allergy in 20 seconds, he reckons.
It's totally possible.
Don't know what he did. It sounds like magic to me, that does. We've got a few of you watching, guys. We have Joe Happiness Howarth here, so this is a happy hour. Oh, there you go. It's a happy hour. I've just made that up. So we're talking about happiness and why you should fundamentally be happy in what you're doing and in your life. subject to the vagaries and ups and downs of 21st century existence, I guess. So if you have any questions for Joe, please stick them in the comments and we will address your questions live. So questions on how to get happier, basically. Cheer up, you miserable bugger. That would be my approach. I'm not a very good therapist.
I think it's quite good that you're in marketing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Rather than therapy.
Sometimes my empathy levels fall to the ground, I must say. I'm with that Troy McClure guy. I don't know if you remember Troy McClure. He's a character in The Simpsons.
Yes.
And he's a self-help guru, basically, in The Simpsons. It's obviously a spoof, satirical. But he's written books. One of his books is called Smoke Yourself Thin. Another book he's written is called Get Confident Stupid. Get confident stupid. Which I love that. I love that idea. Just get confident, for Christ's sake. Stop it. Yeah, but you guys, of course, you have a lot more depth and training and capabilities. Not doing.
You would hope.
Yeah, you certainly hope. So, another question for you. I like to test my guess with this. If you won the lottery, right? There was a lottery win this week, wasn't it? £123 million somebody won. Anything with 8 figures in it. So would you still be doing what you're doing?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I would obviously go on holiday. And I would obviously buy a bigger house and a beautiful car. I'd do all those things and I'd help friends and family, but absolutely I would come back to doing what I do now. I mean, at the end of the day, when I started my business, I was pretty much doing what I do now for nothing.
Yeah.
So, because I wanted to help people, because I wanted to grow myself, and because it's a challenge, isn't it? We need stuff to do. I think it would be incredibly boring to win the lottery and never do anything ever again.
No, it really would. I've pondered on this, having asked this question a few times, and it just enable you to increase your impact more quickly, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It would enable me to
empire, couldn't you?
Yeah, totally. World domination.
Yeah,
the
happiness empire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's got a nice ring to it. I like that, Jonny.
Yeah. By the way, have you got a podcast, a show called The Happy Hour? And if you haven't, why not?
I haven't. I have, as of yesterday, agreed to run a joint podcast with a lady who's called the Balance Coach. So our podcast will be called The Happy Balance. But yeah, it should be called Happy Hour.
Happy Hour. It bloody well should be.
Yeah.
We love happy hours because we can get drunk more quickly. And happy hours. Happy hours are great. And you don't have to pay as much.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you worst at?
What am I worst at? Technology, which you have witnessed in the run-up
today. It's worked.
Yeah, it's working now. But no, technology is not my forte at all.
Yeah.
In the slightest.
Well, it isn't mine, except that I embrace the tools at our disposal, shall we say. So
I do my best to, but it doesn't always work. I'd rather just someone else did it for me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's levels of tech, isn't there? Hardware and software. I mean, the hardware is down to you to sort, I think. And I've invested heavily in, real high spec PC, in unlimited fiber broadband. So it's never like I'm talking, Well, it isn't yet anyway, hopefully. Then you just buy a mic, which again, is a one-off purchase. Here's the and then the best webcam you can afford and all that kind of thing. But these are just one-off purchases, and that's the hardware. You get that sorted, and it's sorted. The other bit of tech I think that we all struggle with is software, because it's moving so quickly, isn't it? There's new platforms and developments, and some of them are quite hard to use, aren't they?
I know. See, I mean, I can use things like Facebook and LinkedIn I don't understand
Mm.
Twitter. I don't understand Instagram.
Yeah, Twitter's insane. I
Snapchat, I
know.
don't. Yeah, it's like news, and like you say, new stuff comes along all the time. That I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know, and I really, I'm quite happy doing what I do. I don't want to learn how to use Snapchat or
No.
whatever.
You've got to do what makes you happy, haven't you?
Yes. See,
And you know, you see,
do what brings you joy, Jonny Cooper. That's what you do.
yeah, that's what I'm doing pretty much all the time. Okay, let me frame another question then, because we're all interested, aren't we, in personal growth and development in this, both as providers and individually, as kind of receivers of growth. So let's say we met in the street, not that we've ever really met in the street yet, in 2022, so 3 years down the line.
Okay.
I said, yeah, Joe, great to see you again. How's it been? How's the last 3 years been, and how are things now? What would you be saying?
Oh, I like that question. I like it a lot.
This is my coach face.
Is it?
Question.
Oh, okay. Is that your coach face? Okay. You should consider this as a career, I think. That's a good...
There's no money in it. So we're meeting in the street. I said, Joe, great to see you. I'm sitting for 3 years. How's it been? Come on then. This is where you speak. Joe just frozen.
Oh, I'm speaking. Can you not hear me?
No, you just froze. You just froze. It's funny because we were just talking about hardware and software, weren't we? And then yours froze.
Went. It must have known. Am I here now? Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Good. I'm glad. So
2022, here we are on a street corner outside Buckingham Palace. How are you, Joe? Hi, nice to meet you. I don't know why I said that. It's a bit random. And we'll possibly meet in London. I'm there sometimes. So are you, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So how's it been the last 3 years? What are you going to tell me?
I'm going to tell you that I am now an international speaker, that I speak on stages across the world to very high level people about how to change the way they're doing business, because business is not being done the right way. It's being done as if we live in the 1950s, and we don't. So I will have spent the last 3 years dedicating my time, because now that I have my team of Happiness Club trainers who deliver my workshops and my schools program, I now have the freedom to gallivant around the world, speaking at high-level conferences, talking to leaders about their way they see the world and their perspective. Everything's about perspective, Jonny. And
okay, and I'll be saying to you, that's fascinating, that is. So pleased it's all taken off for you. This is what I'm curious about now, and I will be then. What has changed in your view then since the 50s, this old school kind of corporate kind of business behavior, compared with today? So how are you changing these business leaders?
Okay, so I'm talking to them about, and I think this is happening now, about there's massive shifts going on. Whether you believe in the universe and the energy and all of that, there are massive energetic shifts going on at the moment. And they're all geared towards, in my opinion, helping us to understand that we're all people. And that sounds like a really obvious thing to say, but I think in business, especially with leaders in business, they forget that the decisions they make have an effect on people with real lives and with families, and and the decisions that are being made up here are cascading down and affecting the people down here that they probably don't have a connection with on a daily basis, even a weekly or a monthly basis. But the things he's thinking about or she's thinking about up here are affecting these people. So for me, we have to start up here. We have to start up here and say, no, you see, you're looking at this wrong. And
you can kind of understand it, because businesses, when they get to a certain size, they do lose touch with their people, with their human resource, focused on shareholder value, aren't they? Creating profit all the time.
That's it, and that becomes their main focus. But the ironic bit about that for me is that actually the more you connect with your people and engage with your people, the more that affects your bottom line anyway. The more profitable you become, the more productive the company becomes. I mean, it really shocked me, because obviously I'm a do-gooder, and totally. And when I first started out in business and I started talking to businesses, I genuinely thought that the managing director of Joe Bloggs down the road Limited would care about his people. And the number of people I spoke to that literally did not give a monkey's about their people really shocked me. But I think that's the shift that's happening. I think we're moving very much in that direction, where leaders are now starting to become aware that they need to care about their people, but also that they need to care about themselves, because I think the leaders are running themselves into the ground.
Sometimes,
And you know, it's the same whether I'm speaking to a business leader or to a mum. If you don't look after yourself first, you can't look after anybody else. You can't give whatever you need to give to whoever you need to give it to if you're not in the right place. So it's about getting everybody in the right place first.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. I was just thinking back to when I was doing a bit of business consultancy before we got JHM off the ground. I remember one company where I asked him to give me an organogram. You know, it was horrible. Also,
it does a bit.
An organogram is a chart basically of all the jobs in your business, you know, personnel, what they do.
Right.
And it shows the levels of management, the structure, and you know, the chain of command, that sort of thing. And when he did it on Excel or something. And there was all the job roles, you know, finance director, managing director, then finance assistant 1, finance assistant 2. But he didn't put anybody's names in. Didn't mention that. It was just the job roles that he was aware of. It was almost like he wasn't aware that it was actually people doing these jobs. They were just job names. You know.
It's crackers, isn't it?
That was really weird. And that was one of the things we focused on, actually, getting him closer to his staff. Because I felt when we had our big business, I started a financial consultancy in the 90s and we sold it in 2003. We had 200 staff when we sold in 2003. At our annual conferences, we got together and everybody showed up at this one big hotel, took the place over basically for the day. I remember just looking out the window as we were getting started. The car park was full of cars that I was paying for, basically. Our company was paying for. And all the people who'd driven those cars to this conference, we were paying their mortgages.
Mm.
You know, we were paying their mortgages and their food and looking after their families. So it's always been clear to me that, you know, in biggest organisation, it has to be about your people, doesn't it?
Definitely. One of the best organisations I've ever worked in was a housing association in just outside Liverpool. And their chief exec, they had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of staff. He knew the name of every single one of them. Wow. I know. I went to an event. This was donkeys ago. And I went to an event, like a staff day thing. And there were literally 300 or 400 people there. And I just was flabbergasted watching him walk around the room. He knew the name of every single person. And that, for me, that's, even if he knows nothing else about them, do you know what I mean? Mm. To know the name of all those people.
Have a badge on. Did they wear a badge? Yeah.
No, but that's what it is for me. That's absolutely it. You know, you work for someone.
Well, that's incredible. I think that requires something else other than just caring, doesn't it? Because I could remember people's names.
Yeah.
I'm just crazy. He must have had some kind of specific training there too.
Oh, I should think so. But he also interacted with them. Do you know what I mean? He actually made the effort to interact with them on a regular basis. Priceless.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that would definitely make them happy, wouldn't it? Yeah, just anchoring into our happy hour that we've had. Well, look, we're gonna pack it in now because we're going for about half an hour to bore people with our stories. I've just got one more question. This is going to put you on the spot a bit. What we'd like you to do, I'd like you to teach we don't know in 2 minutes. Teach us something we don't know.
Teach you something that you don't know in 2 minutes. I don't know what you do know.
Well, I was going to say, you can't be sure we wouldn't know, but tell us something remarkable that you think we might not know.
Okay.
Something you know.
I think the most important thing that I teach people is that, and I've touched on this in the conversation we've had, but for me, the whole thing is about perspective. Okay. So it's always, always, always possible to flip your perspective on anything. And if you flip your perspective on whatever rubbish situation you are facing, you can change that rubbish situation. So one of the techniques that I use with the members of my happiness club is something called the GLAD exercise. We sit down at the end of the day in the Facebook group and we all put all the things that we're glad about from that day into. And I get messages all the time from my members saying to me, today was, I'm trying not to swear, Jonny, because I'm being good, but today was a rubbish day, right? Today was the worst day. It was rubbish. It was absolute pants. And I didn't want to do my glads because I didn't see how there could be anything good in today. But you always say it's the most important day to do it. So I've joined in, and you did it in the Facebook group. So I joined in and I did them. And it changed my entire day. It turned my day around. I've spent the whole day, 16 hours or whatever it is, being awake, thinking this is the crappiest day ever. And just by doing that one simple exercise, I've changed my perspective on the entire day, and it's changed my day around. And I'm going to go to bed with a smile on my face now. That's the absolute power of perspective, of actually making the effort to go find the good stuff instead of dwelling on the negative stuff that's happened. Go find the good stuff and change it around for yourself, because you have that power. Everybody does.
Yeah. I wonder if some people find it easier to do than others as well. My Yorkshire upbringing, my dad was a very stoic Yorkshireman, you know. And if I wasn't smiling, I'd come over and go, "Cheer up, you miserable bastard," you know. And it's a kind of very tough love, that, isn't it? You just go, "Oh yeah, I just need to cheer up, don't I?" And you kind of do, you know. So yeah, perspective is everything. You are right, aren't you?
Absolutely.
I'm not suggesting that technique, folks, at the process. But
please don't use that, anybody out there. Thank you. Don't listen to Jonny. Just listen to me. There we go.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, we're definitely happy, aren't we? We appear like we're happy, so Absolutely. It's working, isn't it? Yeah. You've infected me with your happiness. Well done. Okay, folks. Well, listen, we're on Friday with another expert stories. Do you want to know who's in it? I'm just going to look at my calendar. See if Jonny is on Friday. This is Linda Lopeke. I don't know how to pronounce it. Lopeke. She'll have to tell us how to pronounce it. So Linda is a group member, and she says that she's a person. She likes sincerity with a side of irreverent humour, it says here.
Nice.
This is to me. I'm just reading the very polite calendar entry she's made. She says, "Your commitment to being truly helpful touches my heart." Nice, isn't it? I'll take that. I'll take that on the chin.
Do it. Made you smile.
It did. It's been an absolute pleasure, Joe.
Ditto.
So look, when you're kicking off this show, it's got to be called Joe's Happy Hour, isn't it?
Okay, I'll change it now.
Happy Hour with Joe Howarth. Okay. You've got to do that at some point.
Okay.
Definitely, because that's a podcast an hour, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Just because you said.
Done. Just because I said.
Just because you said. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Jonny says, when you're about to start an argument with your co-host, just say, "Look, Jonny said. It's not me.
It's not my ego or anything. Jonny said I had to."
Happy hour. Right. Wonderful. Okay. So you lot go away and do some work, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Love you lots.